Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is David Barker. I'm a published herpetologist and an entrepreneur engaged in the breeding and sales of pythons and boas. I am grateful for this opportunity to relate some of the problems, legal shortcomings, and job-killing aspects of the Interior Department's and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's proposal to add 9 species of large snakes to the injurious wildlife list under the Lacey Act. A listing under the Lacey Act makes it a federal crime to import or export these species or move them across state lines. And this would be the first time a species in common pet ownership was so listed. The Fish and Wildlife Service has not considered the economic impact of this listing, failing, as the Small Business Administration Office of Advocacy noted, to fulfill its duties under the Regulatory Flexibility Act. The proposed action also constitutes an inappropriate taking of property, impacting as many as 1 million Americans. Finally, it is based on an insubstantial scientific analysis that has not withstood scrutiny or subsequent review. Taking that last issue first, the basis for the Fish and Wildlife Service proposed action can be traced back to a paper published in early 2008 concluding that pythons would find the climate of the southern third of the continental United States to be favorable and predicting that these pythons were likely to invade the United States all the way from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco. The 2 past cold winters have now laid to rest that fear. Pythons and boas will not survive anywhere in the continental United States except extreme southern Florida. In the past 2 years, there are 4 published papers that describe how pythons fail to survive in cold weather, and 3 of those papers are co-authored by government biologists and academics contracted by the Interior Department agencies. Secondly, the proposal to invoke the Lacey Act is not a valid use of this federal criminal statute. The simple truth is that the proposed action, 1, will not solve or correct any problem regarding these snake species in South Florida, and 2, it will destroy American businesses and it will damage hundreds of thousands of people economically, and 3, it threatens as many as 1 million law-abiding American citizens and their families with the penalty of a felony conviction for pursuing their livelihoods, for pursuing their hobby, or for simply moving with their pet to a new state. States should be allowed the freedom to regulate this industry as they see fit without heavy-handed federal intervention. In my own personal circumstance, if the proposed action is implemented, it will directly and negatively affect my wife's and my incorporated small business and our family income. It will destroy more than 20 years of work, and it essentially confiscates the value of our investments in breeding stock and equipment, and it removes all value to our colony of breeding animals. It will stop all of our interstate and international business, which is 90% of our business. It will immediately reduce our family income by 35% or more at a time when income and work come hard. It will likely ruin our retirement. And additionally, our business is interconnected with many other local businesses, large and small, that will be negatively affected. There are thousands of other families with small snake breeding businesses similar to ours. The Fish and Wildlife Service utterly failed to take any hard look at these economic impacts, and they failed to consider reasonable alternatives to federal regulation that were offered by my industry. As the Office of Advocacy noted, the agency failed to meet its most basic duties under the Regulatory Flexibility Act. Finally, a little discussed issue regards the disaster that may follow the implementation of this proposed rule. What's going to happen to the 1 million or so animals that suddenly are without value? Many, of course, may be maintained into the future by their current owners, but what will be the outcome for the animals that are suddenly unwanted or unaffordable? The proposed action makes no provision for the disposal of these animals. Zoos will not take even one of them. Animal shelters are completely unprepared and generally without trained staff, equipment, cages, or food. The implementation of the proposed action may precipitate the greatest slaughter of pet animals in American history. I thank the I thank the committee for this opportunity to voice my concerns, and if there are any questions, I will do my best to answer them. Thank you.